Ladies and gentlemen, there is something that I've been thinking about since yesterday. For those who follow the politics of the Republic of Kenya very closely, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa yesterday addressed the media. And in their address to the media, they were very clear that Kenya Kwanza government is sabotaging the implementation of the Nadco report.
The most worrying issue was the second issue that we raised at Bomas as Azimio, and this is one of the issues that sent Kenyans on the streets, and that is the issue of electoral justice, the issue of reconstituting IEBC, the issue of doing an audit of the last general elections that was a product of a divided commission. The majority of the commissioners, as they appeared before us, physically and electronically, they were still not owning the results of the 2022 general elections. We heard from them, our two sisters who were in the US, and our two brothers who came to Bomas. They said the results announced by Chebukati were not the results of the commission. Those results were Chebukati's plus a minority of the commission who are two commissioners.
The truth of the matter is that Nadco report made certain recommendations, and there is no way William Ruto can agree to implement the report fully, and especially on two issues. That is the audit of the servers and also the reconstitution of the IEBC commissioners.
Though the Supreme Court made a decision on the matter, Kenyans still wanted to know exactly what happened. And that is why it was agreed by both sides that there should be an audit of that election, not to reverse the decision of the Supreme Court, but to ensure that future elections avoid the pitfalls of the past election, to ensure that the next elections of 2027, 10th August, that my brother Kalonzo wants to run as president, I want to run as president, there are others who want to run as president. Those elections will be credible. They will be verifiable. Those concerns that have been raised need to be addressed, and an audit will be able to reveal those pitfalls so that before 2027, we have in place remedial measures to address the concerns of Kenyans.
The truth is there are certain elements which William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government would easily agree to implement. Which begs the question, do you think the 2027 presidential elections will be free and fair? Can we say as a country that even if that Nadco report were to be implemented, the elections will be free and fair? I want to assure you that 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya will not be fair, will not be free. In fact, William Ruto will easily rig that elections. So in this video, I want to explain to you guys why personally I strongly believe that William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza will easily rig the 2027 presidential elections. But before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Eugene Wamalwa, who read Azimio's statement yesterday, was very clear that the decision to stop the implementation of the Nadco report by High Court were as a result of the deep state.
Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and I have been in government. We are experienced ministers. He was our 10th vice president. We know how governments work. We know how the deep state works. We know how the system works. We can see the fingerprints of the deep state, of the system, on this legal roadblock that has been placed in the way of the implementation of the Bomas document. And we do know that already signs have become clear in Parliament. The way the Nadco report is being processed through the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the House, JLAC, we do know that there have been deliberate delaying tactics on the part of our Kenya Kwanza friends. We have some of our colleagues like...
And I asked myself, Eugene Wamalwa was a powerful cabinet secretary in the last regime. Why couldn't he tell Azimio some of these things? Because he seems to know when the state or the deep state is doing something. Why couldn't he point out to Raila Odinga that, you see, this deep state of ours is compromised? But I don't want to get into that. The truth of the matter is that 2027 election is going to be rigged. Listening to Eugene Wamalwa again talking about the audit, because that audit of IBC servers was going to help Azimio in so many ways. Number one, it was going to show them how the rigging took place, so that in their next election, they can figure out how to fix some of those issues. They were also going to point out the procurement of the servers, the issues, who procured the servers, who accessed those servers, and who provided the credentials. How was the entire system procured? Basically, if those servers were to be open, they were able to get that. And that is something that William Ruto will not be able to do. Listening to Eugene Wamalwa.
The senior counsel, Otienda Molo, who have been expressed their frustrations through what is happening in that committee. They have called meetings, their colleagues have skipped meetings so that they don't process that report. So the strategy is to delay implementation in Parliament, and the ultimate strategy now is to derail the implementation of the Nadco report through the courts. And we believe this is state-instigated litigation, state-sponsored litigation to derail this process.
But the biggest question is, why do I strongly believe that 2027 presidential election in the Republic of Kenya is going to be the easiest to rig? Let us go back to the history of the Republic of Kenya and go to up to, I think, 2007, because that's when rigging actually started. In 2007, Raila Odinga competed against Mwai Kibaki. Raila Odinga led Mwai Kibaki until at some point when the lights went off and Kenyans went to sleep, and when they woke up, Mwai Kibaki was ahead. The truth of the matter is that constituencies like Tharaka Nithi by that time, which had like, I think, 30,000 registered voters, ended up posting 60 or over 80,000 registered voters, votes for Mwai Kibaki. The truth is, when they realized that they were losing, they decided to hold onto their strongholds and then allowed IBC and ODM to release their strongholds. Within a very short time, they were able to really change the results. The truth is, William Ruto knows Raila Odinga won that election. Everybody knows Raila Odinga won that election, but he never became the president. So in 2000, that was in 2007. Then after 2007, there was the 2013 when electronic voting was introduced. And that's when Uhuru and Ruto won. The system ensured that the rigging was so smooth. They rigged smoothly using the electronic system. Then in 2017, Raila Odinga and NASA at that time were a bit wiser. They decided to start following the elections. They had their agents recording the results, and when the results were rigged, they were able to prove in court that those elections were actually rigged. But something happened in 2022. Raila Odinga believed that he had the system and that there was no way his votes were going to be stolen. Before they knew, William Ruto was declared the president of the Republic of Kenya. Which begs the question, why do I strongly believe that Ruto is going to rig that election if rigging will ensure that he becomes the president again? Number one, William Ruto now has the system. That is something that he lacked in the last election. Of course, William Ruto having worked with Moi, and remember the Kalenjins were in power for over 14 years, over 24 years really, not 14. Moi was the president for 24 years, so which means during that period, the Kalenjin nation were actually in every sector especially in the security sector. He worked with Uhuru Kenyatta, so he knew how to manipulate the system. And the truth of the matter is that William Ruto is always focused on the results. So he didn't have the system really, but he was able to find his strategies of penetrating those systems. Right now, William Ruto is the president of the Republic of Kenya. He's the president. How will you stop him? Because the Supreme Court made a ruling, and the Supreme Court stated clearly that election is a process. And being a process, it simply means that it begins from the registration until the time that vote is counted and the results announced. During this period, there's also so many other processes here. How are the registrations conducted? The systems which being used, the procurement procedures, the commissioners, the recruitment of staffs, a lot of things there. And because William Ruto is the president, he will be able to be in charge of those systems. I doubt if Kalonzo Musyoka will be able to cope. I doubt. Number two is also what I can call Raila Odinga or Orient factor. You see, Raila Odinga is the only person or individual in the Republic of Kenya who has followers. He's unlike William Ruto. Can only be compared to Matiba. William Ruto has supporters. People who normally support him, maybe because they don't like Raila Odinga, or maybe because they have been told to support him, or maybe because of the tribal arithmetics, maybe because they want to vote in a particular manner. But Raila Odinga has followers. People we can tell not to turn out to vote, and they'll not vote. People we can tell to go to the streets, and they'll not go. People we can tell don't go to work tomorrow, and it will be a holiday. No, Raila Odinga might not be on the ballot. I think Raila Odinga will not be on the ballot. And in a situation where Raila Odinga will not be on the ballot, it will mean that Azimio will front someone else. And I want to assume Kalonzo. Deputies maybe Wamalwa, because that's the direction they are taking. If that were to happen, do you think Kalonzo Musyoka has people he can command to the streets to protect or to protest against reggae? In fact, the reason why William Ruto wants Raila Odinga out of the presidential race, the reasons are several, but one of them is these rigging schemes. He knows if Raila is not in the picture, his supporters will not dare going to the street. And of course, Raila Odinga has supporters across. That's why when he announced the demonstrations, you'll see protests in Kakamega, you'll see them in the coast, in Kisii. In fact, during the protests, the last demonstrations, there were attempts by the system to project them as a Luo affair. They could not sustain because when they were focusing on Luo, the Kisii happened. When they were focusing on Luo, there was the Busia. When they were focusing on the Luo, you see, there was that one in Machakos. They believe that without Raila Odinga in the equation, it will be easy to manipulate. Number three, and this is a serious issue. Number three, and this is a serious issue, the issue of agents. Raila Odinga contested for the presidency 2007, 2013, 2017, 2022. 20 good years. During that period, he had networks, he had, everything. Raila Odinga has structures. If Raila want to be on the ballot, it means Kalonzo Musyoka will begin from scratch. And that's how William Ruto will infiltrate his camp. Will have his people as Kalonzo Musyoka's own agent. I can tell you that's going to happen. So it will be easy for Ruto to penetrate Kalonzo Musyoka. So it will be easy for William Ruto's camp to penetrate Kalonzo Musyoka's agents. And lastly, the internal fight within Azimio. Azimio is going to fight amongst them until almost the election. So they will not be focusing on what needs to be done. They will not be focusing on monitoring how William Ruto is recruiting the commissioners, who is being appointed to be the manager of ICT. How are the procurements being done? Nobody is going to do that work because they'll be fighting. And in fact, that fight is going to be vicious because it's going to be sponsored by the state. So for me, 2027 election is going to be rigged, and there's nothing you guys will do about it. The only election which will not be rigged is the election after 2027, because Kenyans will rebel second term of William Ruto. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, Makwiny. Bye-bye.